go ahead and just send out tweets and stuff. Right. Then that's all the places I was gonna plug that in. And then let me just go to all right, now we're good. Just, okay, cool. That is done. Now I just wait for the notification to show up here. Okay, we're live. Nice. Nice. All right. Right. So we are gonna start right now in a bit. Let's just go ahead and be ready here. All right. Now let me check here. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Okay, cool. We're good. We're good to go. All right. Let's get this off. Welcome everybody. We are going to be doing our first episode Between the Frames here. For those who may not know, my name is Raul Alejandro Mendoza. I am a filmmaker, cinephile, photographer, whatever you want to go with. I do a lot of stuff. Do stuff here. I do stuff on the Nerdcore Twitch channel and YouTube channel and all that wonderful stuff. Between the Frames, we are going to be looking at several films, and we look at the whole makeup of it and the analysis, the visual extent of the film. We look at what just makes the movie, and we'll get into conversations about what the movie is discussing and what the movie is trying to say, but also about how that is amplified by the camera, by the sound, by everything that goes into creating a film. And these won't be with guests for now. I don't plan on that right now. I think it'd be cool for me just to go with it one-on-one with everybody else here. What up, Matt? Thanks for being here on YouTube, man. Thank you. This show will be live every Monday at 1 p.m. on Twitch and YouTube. But you guys can always catch the replay later. And yeah. How are you doing today, Matt? Hope all is well over there with you. And yeah, I can't wait to talk about this because our first film that we were discussing here at Between the Frames, we're looking at Lars von Trier's self-proclaimed Depression trilogy, which is Antichrist, Melancholia, and Nymphomaniac, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Today we're starting off with our journey into Antichrist. I will go ahead and read off information about it and stuff, but yeah, I watched the Criterion, copy of it, because I bought it during the sale, the last flash sale, and yeah, it's pretty good copy. Really enjoyed it, because I've seen the DVD version of this one, and that was the last actual. I think it was like the last DVD I ever watched because I can't do. I think that DVDs are 720 or 360p. I can't remember. I mean 440. I think it's 440p or something like that. I can't do it anymore. Just do Blu-ray or 4K. It's just So I bought this one and I watched it last night, and yeah, I've got some thoughts about it, on the second rewatch. But yes, today we're discussing Antichrist. Next week will be Melancholia. The week after that, we might split it up and do Nymphomaniac Volume 1 and Volume 2. Or if I can just knock out both films together, we can discuss Nymphomaniac as a whole. But yeah, nice Criterion. Thanks, Matt, and thanks for being here, bro. Have you ever seen Antichrist, or you watched anything from Von Trier before? Von Trier is quite the divisive filmmaker. Very I mean, it's not far-fetched to call him a provocateur, even though I believe his movies have a lot to say, even though they are very provocative and they have a lot of things that are, pretty hard to stomach when you watch his films. But I think Lars has a lot of stuff to say within his movies, and I guess that's why I just enjoy the guy so much. So let me just go ahead and get this ready here. We can go into just go ahead and give you guys general information about Antichrist, and I will of course give you all my Wikipedia entry, because I can't. I'm not gonna go in there and give you a whole detailed. That's what Wikipedia is here for. Antichrist is one of only 5 Lars von Trier films I've seen. Yeah, that's cool, man. I've watched. I think so. I've only watched this one and Nymphomaniac, even though I own Melancholia. I need to watch it soon. I also own the house that Jack built, and I need to watch that soon. And also I have been wanting to watch Dogville and Breaking the Waves. that's another Criterion release that I kind of want to grab because I heard it's a really good job with the with restoring what was of Breaking the Waves. But yeah, he's a very provocative filmmaker. He doesn't shy away from showing what he wants to show, and that can be a bit off-putting to some of the general audience. So it's why he gets a little bit of a bad rap sometimes. And he also he's been in a little bit of controversy himself. I also own Dancer in the Dark. I need to watch Dancer in the Dark. Getting vaccinated, brother, so I'm gonna be hopping on and off, but I dropped the like and can't wait to hear your thoughts on this masterpiece. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mikey. Good luck with your vaccine, man. Let me know how you feel. Today's symptoms just started to die down already. I'm feeling tons better. Arm isn't sore anymore. The nausea went away, and I'm just doing way better, Mikey. And hope you have a safe time, and I hope that you that everything goes well for you, man. Yeah, if you want to just dip in and out, and listen, that's all good. Breaking the Waves, The Dancer in the Dark, The Idiots, Antichrist, and Melancholia. Yeah. The Idiots is one that I've heard about, but I haven't had the chance to watch either. So I really do need to catch up on those films from Von Trier. So here we go. Let me go ahead and read the Wikipedia entry for Antichrist. Antichrist is a 2009 experimental psychological horror film written and directed by Lars von Trier, starring Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg. It tells the story of a couple who, after the death of their child, retreat to a cabin in the woods where the man experiences strange visions and the woman manifests increasingly violent sexual behavior and sadomasochism. The narrative is divided into a prologue, 4 chapters, and an epilogue. Written in 2006, while von Trier had been hospitalized due to significant depressive episodes, the film was largely influenced by his own struggles with depression and anxiety. Filming began in late summer of 2008, primarily in Germany, and was a Danish co-production co-produced by several other film production companies from 6 different European countries. After its premiere at the 2009 Cannes Film Festival, where Gainsbourg won the Festival's award for Best Actress, the film immediately caused controversy, with critics generally praising the artistic execution, but remaining strongly divided regarding its substantive merit. Other awards won by the film include the Robert Award for Best Danish Film, the Nordic Council Film Prize for Best Nordic Film, and the European Film Award for Best Cinematography. The film is dedicated to the Soviet filmmaker Andrei Tarkovsky, who was alive between 1932 and 1986. Antichrist is the first film in von Trier's unofficially titled Depression Trilogy. It was followed in 2011 by Melancholia and then by Nymphomaniac in 2013. And it's an hour and 48 minutes. An hour and 48 minutes. And yeah, it's I'll talk about some of the things here though. But hold on, let me check chat here. Aiden, what's up? Oh, what's up, man? Yeah, Aiden, what's going on, man? Glad you're feeling good, my dude. Appreciate the kind words. So thank you. Here, we need Mikey to join the Discord. Yeah, actually, if you can get an invite out to Mikey, please. Yeah, I didn't know that he wasn't in the Discord. But go ahead and get an invite to the Discord for the Nerd Core. But yeah, I don't know how I didn't catch this the first time. When I watched the DVD version, when I had rented it from my library over at my university, I did not notice that it was dedicated to Andrei Tarkovsky. Watching this a second time, I really do see those Tarkovsky, influences, especially when you're going back into, flashbacks, when you're going into the black and white, scenes of showing the kid and the couple having sex. It's very reminiscent of Tarkovsky and the way that he would interject those scenes to go back into classical Russian history, and you would look at all those kind of painting-esque frames, and I saw that and I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. And I know that von Trier is a big fan of Tarkovsky. He loves his films, and I was just pleasantly surprised that the Andrei Tarkovsky was this film was dedicated to Tarkovsky. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Andrei Tarkovsky. I own Stalker, Andrei Rublev, and Solaris on my Criterion collection here. I've watched every single film of Andrei Tarkovsky except for Andrei Rublev. Andrei Tarkovsky is probably one of the greatest directors that have ever lived, and one of the most prolific and poetic people who have ever made a single piece of art. And he's rightfully deserving of being considered possibly the greatest director of all time. And it is a shame that he lived as only as short as he lived, because as you can tell here, I think it's 40, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, 54. He only lived to the age of 54, and that's a very sad thing, because he had a lot left to give, but he left us a good amount of films. Well, not a good amount. Well, he left us a small array of films, but they're films that are take so much time to analyze and to really look at the backbone of it. But yeah, this film is I love this film, and that kind of makes me feel weird to say that I love this film. I have this on a 4 out of 5 on my letterbox. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on the first watch, and it's still at a 4 out of 5 on the second watch. I think that this movie is great, but it's a movie that really doesn't sit as well as Nymphomaniac sat with me on my first watches of Nymphomaniac. When I watched Nymphomaniac for the first time, I was just amazed at what Lars did with that film and all that he was doing in it. And in this one, it's just more of it's because I could really understand more of what Lars was trying to say within Nymphomaniac. But in this film, I was very much not confused, but I was a bit, torn between what I think that Lars is trying to say and what Lars is trying to depict on here. And of course, as I read more into Antichrist, and I you look at the title itself, you kind of think about, it's got this kind of biblical allegory of a film, what's it called, a biblical allegory, or something else within the film being discussed. I think that this is a good opener to the Depression trilogy, but I don't think that it's Lars' best work, even though he remains to me probably one of the best directors best directors out there. Hold on, y'all. Okay, hold on. Just let me get what's it called? Let me go. So sorry about that, y'all. I had to take a quick call. But I was on. Yes, this film, I watch it a second time, and I really, it still fascinates me the way that it fascinated me the first time. But I think this time around, it's very, it's hard for me to actually pull out an analysis the second time, even though I have an idea what Lars is trying to say, but I don't think I'm quite there yet. I'm going to try today. I'm going to try with you all to give you all what I thought about what I think this is trying to say, but I still watch this and I'm kind of like, oh, man, because there's a lot of things going on. So of course we start the film with Charlotte Gainsbourg and Willem Dafoe having sex. The window's open in their apartment, and the child is walking up to the window, and the child falls out the window, dies. What's it called? We go from there to Charlotte Gainsbourg becoming severely depressed, and Willem Dafoe is a therapist, and he decides to what's it called, treat his wife, which is not a thing that's supposed to happen. It is not recommended that therapists treat their own partners or their own family members or anything like that, because ethics and all that. And things start getting out of control there. She becomes more and more sexually violent. She becomes more and more sexually repressed, and they go off into the woods and they stay there, where apparently there was an issue where the boy had gotten lost in the woods, and she didn't actually lose the boy. Boy was in the storage room, and we find out also that she had been creating a deformity on his feet while he was growing up, where by giving him the wrong shoes that are supposed to be on the wrong foot. And then you just find out more and more about this couple and what's going on, and we find out how unstable both of these people are. And as we go on, it becomes even more and more violent, and things get a little more and more, unsettling. Yes, there are some very, very gruesome scenes here. I hope that everybody who is in here is 18 plus, because I'm going to be talking freely with my language, because I think we're all old. I think we're all old enough, and we all are mature enough to discuss what happens in this film. And what happens in this film is very graphic. So if you all don't want to hear about that, then I understand if you do not want to keep on listening. But of course, Charlotte Gainsbourg, hurts. Charlotte Gainsbourg's character, she hurts his groin, and does some stuff to that. She mutilates her genitalia, and she does all these things, and it's very unsettling to see all these things. But we're I mean, at its core, I think we're watching this couple and who very much have problems even before then. They have problems, but the death of a child brought some very unbalanced, more disbalance to the relationship, and now they're there, and they're very now they're falling apart. And obviously this man wants to stay around his wife, because he loves her, but even though there's problems there at the house, she wants to make sure that she still feels like she's being taken care of and she's loved. He decides to go ahead and treat her when he shouldn't be treating her, and things open up a little bit more there. And you open up Pandora's box and start going into the various consequences of having to partake in that. There's a lot of conversations being had here about mental illness, about depression, the biblical allegory that is kind of this film, and I'll go into more of that. Because I think to really understand this depression trilogy, you really have to understand how Lars is at the time. Lars's father just died. He's very depressed. He's basically making these very three therapeutic films that he's talking about what's going on in his head. And I think maybe that's why this film feels like it's all over the place at times, because I think we're really diving into Lars's psyche here. we're diving into what's it called, what he how he feels about, you know, where his place in the world, and how he feels like as a writer, as a director, as an artist, but also about the sadness, that the extreme form of sadness that is coming with his mourning and his grief, because he just lost his father. And yeah, it's just it starts going off there, and things get a little bit more and more centered around this couple. And there is just I want to say though, the cinematography is beautiful, and usually I'm usually when I watch Lars, I watch Lars because of the subject matter, and I really watch Lars because I think that he tackles his subject matter so interestingly, even though it's very fucked up. His camera choices and stuff, because he's exclusively a digital guy, if I remember. Like he's been a digital guy for a long time. He's done his work on like most of the new like Aries and Alexa and Reds, and they're always like big, nice looking cameras, and he gets these very interesting shots. Of course, you get one where Willem Dafoe is like, got the hose, and he's like sprinkling water, and it's like a slow-mo shot of the water coming out of the hose, and you get these awesome, nice, like pretty cool shots, which I'm not gonna lie, they are pretty cool. But he's always had a thing with his grading, his color grading, that I was always kind of like off put by. I'm like, like this, it feels way too saturated. The clarity's way too up. But I think for this it works, because we're kind of inside of a hellish nightmare of a dream. You know, we're kind of looking at this really as we're looking at the origins of man itself. And that's why I think that the cinematography works, and the lighting aspects works a little bit more than it needs to. The sound design, of course, there's no score in this. Absolutely no score. Well, other than the beginning song that's playing during those black and white frames of what's going on in the house as they're having sex. They have the song during there, and the song during those other scenes that follow by that are in black and white. That's the only score. You know, the sound design of course, like, you know, the items around the house and how much stuff is like being crushed and like that, and yeah, like those are pretty good. But usually this is a very visual movie. It's a very visual movie. It's a very writing based movie. What's being said, not just in the frame, but also what's being said from what's being talked within the dialogue. Of course, we have a lot of animals showing up. We have a deer, we have a fox, we have ticks, insects showing up, and really what all of those represent. And like we say, like it's discussed, the film is broken up between an epilogue, 4 chapters, and a prologue, 4 chapters, and an epilogue. Our prologue is our conflict about the child dying. Our epilogue is what happens after, you know, Willem Dafoe's character kills Charlie Gainsbourg, and this big army of women just surrounds his area and starts to kind of settle in this area that he's built. And it's, I think that it works well when you have these 4 kind of chapters going on in there. I think it helps break up the story. I'm glad that it wasn't like this really long movie where you're kind of breaking it up into like chapter after chapter, like where you have like 7 or 8 chapters, but you have just 4 very important chapters. You have broken up between the conflict, the initial stages of grief. You have the very extreme form of depression. You have where there's some sort of resolution starting to happen, where you see Charlie Gainsbourg's character trying to go back into the light, and then we have our 4th chapter where it really starts just the absolute action, and just the madness is ensued within our characters, and we start seeing what's going down, and just all the violent sadomasochism that begins to happen between the couple. So sorry. Now, the biblical allegory. This is where I tend to get really into this, and I really start to really start to think about what I think I saw last night when I rewatched this film. Because now, of course, I watch it, and I'm thinking now, because, you know, when you watch films like these, at first, because you probably heard something, you're like, oh, you know, there's this really bloody scene, There's this really gruesome scene in this movie, and you're just kind of just watching the movie waiting for these things to happen. You're not really concentrating on what the film is trying to say. You're just waiting for like the moment that this very graphic and violent thing is about to happen, and you're just sitting there and anticipating it. And after you're done, you're just kind of thinking about what you saw within just the violent nature of what was just put on your TV screen or your screen. The second time around, I'm watching this and I'm like, okay, I know what's gonna happen, so I don't have to really like prepare myself to see what's gonna happen. Excuse me. I don't really have to prepare myself to see what's gonna happen, because I know how bloody this film is. I know how unsettling it is. I know where I'm gonna kind of like, kind of get chills, and where I'm gonna kind of get like, a little queasy. Instead, this time I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, what's Lars trying to say here? What is Lars trying to talk about here? What is Lars trying to, to get to more? And of course, like I said, we talked about, the depression and the mental health, the mental illness aspect of this, because of course that's very prevalent here, as it's made by a man at the time who was very depressed. And you kind of get, a really big depiction of a major depressive disorder in here. But what I did notice was, first of all, our characters are just called he and she. Just a man and a woman. That's the only two characters in here. The only other thing that the actual person who's called anything in this film is the child. It's called Nick. That's it. We don't know Willem Dafoe's character's name. We don't know Charlotte Gainsbourg's name, and we don't know anything else. We don't know who they were. Like, we see people because we saw that funeral scene. We saw those people, but they never speak. We don't see them any time after that. We never revisit those characters. We are simply concentrating within he and she. And then they go to the woods, which is called Eden. And so in a way, you're thinking about, the Garden of Eden. So in a way, if you can think about it, this is Adam and Eve. Now, there is no tree. There is no apple. There is, throughout the film, Willem Dafoe's character is thinking about how Charlotte Gainsbourg's character's biggest fear might just be Satan. And yeah, I mean, you can think about that if we're thinking about, the story of Adam and Eve and falling into temptation, and that apple is put there, and if they eat it, then it begins this, then it begins the curse of the course of original sin brought onto mankind. And also, you find out that Charlotte Gainsbourg's character had been writing a thesis on violence against women, and she did some research about all that stuff. But she also, throughout her research, started to kind of change her mind, and she came to the conclusion that women are inherently evil, and and how genocide and all these things, they're like, it's some very, very, very difficult stuff to kind of sit through when you're kind of hearing it being talked about. And Willem Dafoe calls her out on it and tells her about how, you're supposed to talk about why the violence against women is bad, and instead you're agreeing with it and trying to justify why it's happening. But in a way, if I can speak freely here, we sit around here and we think about the story of Adam and Eve, and who is the one who gets blamed for biting into the apple and starting the course of sin? It's Eden. And for generations and generations after, and in the course of history, we have seen women be at the forefront of being blamed for a lot of the things that are going down. The Salem witch trials, particularly, women were hunted down. And then you look at it in modern times, where we see a lot of the very the constant evidence of feminicide, not just in Mexico, but in other parts of the world, and how these things are very prevalent, and women still to this day have been taking the forefront of a lot of these problems and been blamed for it. So it's not surprising that that this that there would come to the conclusion that this very biblical character has come to the conclusion that the woman is the problem here, and in a way, that's where I kind of see the whole idea of Adam and Eve being here in the origins of man. But I don't think Lars is completely trying to subvert the blame to Charlotte Gainsbourg, because there's many instances, like there's a specific instance where Charlotte Gainsbourg seems to be okay, but Willem Dafoe's character is in a state of shock, or more so as if he doesn't really want to accept that his wife is better now. So he just doesn't react to that. And even Charlotte Gainsbourg's character says, you just can't let me be happy. You just can't let me be all right with myself, and let me just for once feel happy, even though I've been here with you and I've been going through your treatment. You've been treating me, and I've been doing the work. And this one day where I'm actually feeling happy, you're just in shock and you don't know what to say, and it's in a way you just don't believe me that I'm happy. And we go on from there, and I think that Willem, there's a lot of stuff being blamed on Willem. First of all, Willem should not be treating his wife in this film. Willem's character should not be treating his wife. I think I've reiterated that quite a lot already. He should not be treating his wife. He should be there as a husband. He should be there as a partner. He should be there as somebody who has, who just lost a child too. And in a way, yes, it is Willem's character's also going through the way that he has to process his mourning and his grief. But at the expense of wanting to fix Charlotte Gainsbourg's character at the way that he wants to fix her. And making sure that she is the one thing that needs to get fixed here, because there's no problem with him. And I'm not saying this to justify Willem getting, brutally hurt, getting a freaking wrench, or not a wrench, I think it's like a big screw kind of drive through his foot and being put a weight on it, or having his groin area hit and being in ejaculating blood. None of that, and none of that is deserved, and none of that is justified. But this relationship is not a just one-sided relationship here. There's no one thing that one person has done wrong here. They're both, I think, at fault. There's a lot going on in here. So I was just like, I think about just the nature of what we're looking at and what we're thinking about when we look at the biblical allegory here. And in a way, it's a retelling, but a better version of how we should look at the story of Adam and Eve. You have these two people alone in a garden who don't know the implications of sex. They don't know the implications of temptations. The apple of Eden here, the apple in the Garden of Eden, to me, is represented through sadomasochism and the extreme form of sex that they have. Because, of course, there's one part where they're having sex, and, of course, Charlotte Gainsbourg wants him to hit her. He wants him to hit her, and he tells her, if you don't hit me, you don't love me. Which, once again, it's a very Stockholm Syndrome-y kind of view of abusive relationships, where it's, we've all heard it before, that phrase, if he hits you because he loves you, which is a bunch of bullshit, because it's not true. It's not true. Somebody who loves you would never put their hands on you. But she says it multiple times, and when she can't get him to hit her, and he says, well, I guess I just don't love you. She loses control. She goes outside to this tree. She masturbates, and Willem goes on to kind of not fight it. He tries to fight his temptation, but he walks out. He goes to that tree in this supposed Garden of Eden, if we look at it like that. He has sex with his wife on that tree. He hits her multiple times. And I think that I think is where we start our branching into this, into opening this Pandora's box of all the bad things that are about to happen after. Because that is our bite into the apple of Eden. That is our bite. That is our original sin. That is our trip into losing ourselves within this space. So things get a little bit more hectic there, and what happens after. He hits his groin, he ejaculates blood, the weight is put on his leg. He's trying to find her. He goes into this hole with the fox who was who the fox who told him that chaos reigns, and he was disemboweling himself, and he was eating himself alive, and he, in a way, it's kind of showcasing this kind of self-hate that is put into us humans, like this self-hate of us who have had to live with who have had to live with the repercussions of our mental health being declining, of our mental illness, and us learning to us brushing it off as self-deprecation and saying like, oh, it's just my humor. But like it's still a form of self-hate, and you're putting it on yourself, and you're just damaging yourself more and more. And that's kind of perfectly represented with the whole fox just eating himself alive in this garden, in the woods. And he's there, what's it called, Charlotte Gainsbourg gets him out, and he says, what's it called, she says that when the three beggars arrive, someone has to die. The three beggars, I believe, are the crow. It's the crow, the fox, and the deer. Hold on. Let me just take a sip of my Coke here. Thank you. Whew. What's it called? I'm thirsty. If anybody in here, is following on with the conversation, guys, let me know. By the way, I do accept donations to streamelements.com / the nerdy chicano / tip, because we are currently trying to raise money for the next couple of the last round of crowdfunding for Before I Leave. The Indiegogo will be up soon for the last final round of it, but right now I'm taking like donations on my streams and stuff. I will be taking donations on Wednesday for Nerdy Chicano Live. We're doing it today too, so let me just put the link in there in the chat, the Nerdy Chicano / tip. Yes. So just right there. If you guys would like to. All right, that's awesome. Why didn't oh man, sorry guys. I seem to have put the wrong one. Sorry, let me put the right link in there. Oh wait, no, don't I just have a tip? Command? There we go. Yeah, tip. For those of you who would like to tip, please, streamelements.com / the nerdy chicano / tip. And just, if you're feeling generous, go and throw a donation. We will, if you have a question, go ahead and throw the question in there, and I'll answer it. Please, like I said, we're raising funds for the last round of crowdfunding for Before I Leave, because we're going to be starting production on May 21st through the 23rd, and we'll be finishing up and then hitting into post. But yeah, she says when the three beggars arrive, someone has to die, and of course, we find out that Willem Dafoe is not the one who dies, because he gets a wrench, he takes off the weight, and whatever it was, I don't know if it was a screw, or if it was what's it called? Like the bar that you put the weights on, because obviously there's a weight attached to it, but it's kind of got this swirly pattern that looks like it's a screw, but I'm not sure if it is. I have to kind of rewatch it, but the weight's taken off, the bar's taken out of him / screw, whatever it is, right? And he strangles and murders Charlotte Gainsbourg's character. And then we get our epilogue, and he's standing on top of the hill overlooking the whole woods, and this army of women with their faces blurred out just come into his area, and they just start to inhabit this. And I when I saw that, there's one thing that kind of that kind of came to my head, because I'm thinking about the biblical allegories within this film, and as I've stated before, the idea of religious subtext is very interesting to me, and it's not something that I subscribe to, but it's something I look at it and I'm like, that was really interesting, and there was one thing that came to my mind, and I don't know if if this is a Bible verse or something. Let me check. Yeah, Matthew 5:5. Matthew 5:5 came to my mind. And he said that the hold on. I did I put the wrong thing? Yeah, Matthew 5:5 came to my head. It's just what's it called, Sermon on the Mount, right? Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are the gentle, for they shall inherit the earth. So blessed are the gentle, shall they inherit the earth. But we've also heard the idea of like the weak shall inherit the earth. I believe that's what we're seeing. We have this character who's supposed to be the meek, but like, let's be real. He's got just as much things wrong going on with him than Charlotte Gainsbourg character. And I think that's why we're actually seeing the origins of man and the origins of the human race, because we're seeing, this influx of women coming into this area, populating it, and then, you don't have to be a scholar to know what's going to happen. Willem Dafoe's going to have sex with most of these women, start to populate this area, and we start seeing the growing of the human race. But here, I was trying to search what exactly the meek means. The meek, quiet, gentle, and easily imposed on. The submissive. But that's why, that doesn't make much sense. Here's where we get into a really interesting conversation. Is Willem Dafoe's character submissive? I do believe he is. I think Charlotte Gainsbourg's character is the dominant person, even though she is the one who's asking for that pain to be inflicted on her during sex. She is still inhibiting dominant behavior. The sub is Willem Dafoe. He's following the orders. He's doing what she's asking her to do. Many times he has reinstated that he will do anything for her. He will do what he needs to do for her. So, in a sense, yes, this Bible verse kind of does go into what we're doing here. We're talking about how the submissive people will inherit this earth, will be the ones to repopulate the earth, because they're the ones who take the orders. They're the ones who do what needs to be done. And these people who are so dominant, they're the ones who are placed the blame of creating sin. But who was the one who was taking orders? Who was the one who was doing everything they were asking to do? Who's the one who should have taken the upper hand and not done most of the things that were being done here? So it really makes for an interesting conversation about the role of the actual role of Adam and Eve within the creation of man. What are you ranting about? No, we're not ranting, Yuri. Hi, what's going on, man? I don't know if you should be hearing most of these conversations, but we're here for these first episode of Between the Frames. I'm talking about the film Antichrist. It's gonna be like a weekly thing I do here where I talk about a film. What's it called? Where I talk about a film and all the things that happen with it and what the film is trying to say. I'm very busy with school. Why not? Oh, because I was just talking about genitalia mutilation and stuff like that. So, but then again, this is an 18 plus stream. If you're in here, must mean that you're 18 plus, right? But yeah, the submissive will be the ones to inherit the earth. And in a sense, we as men who benefit from the patriarchy, who have been benefiting from the creation of gender norms and gender and through the idea of gender, which is such a flawed construct. We have benefited from the patriarchy. We have benefited from gender roles. We have seen that women are supposed to be submissive. Women are the ones who are supposed to bend to our ways. But in this film, we see the man bend to the ways of the woman. We see the man do what the woman wants. We see the man fall into temptation of what the woman wants. The woman wants the man to hit her during sex, to violently hit her during sex, and then go outside and have sex with her on that tree. thank you, Yuri, for lurking. Thank you so much. Um, she wants him to do that, and he does it. So who really is the submissive person within here? Who is really the person who is supposed to be the imbalance within the gender normality? So I think that's what's it called? I think that's what Lars is trying to say. I think Lars is trying to say we're all kind of imbalanced creatures who have no idea what we're doing, who fall into the temptations of our minds and our heads, and we get lost within the dark corners of our minds, and we get lost within the terrible things that go through our heads, and the intrusive thoughts that lay in there, and we are slaves to our heads sometimes, and that is not mutually exclusive to the gender that you identify with, and the idea of this being the origin of man, it's a very flawed idea, and that's why I think this is more of a representative version of the origins of man, where we feel as if both parties are at stake for what's going down, and going forward, this man who has now just lost his child and his wife will have to probably fall into the same cycle as his wife, and this is how we will continue on, and we will kind of create this origins and this civilization that will revolve around this woods. Yeah, that's kind of everything I wanted to talk about with Lars von Trier's Antichrist. Let me see how much time we got here on the on the Twitch stream, because I don't want to just end on the on a cut. Oh no, look, we almost went for the full. We're almost at the full hour, but like I said, I love this film. It's not one of my favorite movies of all time, but it is one that I'm constantly fascinated by, just because of what is trying to be said and what's being shown in the film, and how it's a very unsettling film. I'll tell you this right now. It's not one that I'm gonna put on as a Sunday comfort movie that I watch on the couch and help everybody. I had to wait for my mother to go to bed so I could watch this film, because I didn't want her to walk in during all these scenes. I didn't really want to explain myself about what is going on in this movie. It's a movie that I think you need to approach when you're ready to approach it. But it's a movie that still has very much a lot of things to say, and that's why I think that it's a fantastic film. Of course, the camera and the whole set design of it, in the woods and the cabin, and just how everything works so well, especially the lighting setups, and how everything is very in a dark, very contrasty environment, with usually faces are both faces are usually half covered, and with a very hard shadow on the other corner, and just how unsettling the blood looks like when it's coming out. It's a very visually beautiful film. Of course, Lars uses a lot of his visual motifs and his visual trademarks, like snap zooms, very documentarian kind of tracking shots, very on the wall type of camera angles, and he's not a how can I say this? He's not a steady director when he's directing his DP. He's not a steady director at all. He's a very he really wants us to feel like we're there. He wants us to be there. He wants us to walk with the characters. He wants us to feel like we are intruding within the acts that are being committed by the characters. And I think that's what makes him so good though. That's what makes him such a genius to me. And just how he kind of, and of course he overdoes it sometimes. I know in Nymphomaniac, and I'll probably talk about it, how like you don't have to keep this documentarian way of filmmaking within this film. It sometimes works and doesn't, but I gotta hand it off to the guy. I mean, it takes a lot to get a visual style for yourself, and it takes a lot to it takes a lot to have something that's yours, and to say that, oh, this right here, this is my visual style. Whether somebody likes your visual style or not is not the prerogative. But the fact that you have one, you know, it's something I respect directors for. I always respect them. You know, like, I don't like Zack Snyder's visual style, but I will always respect it because it's hard to find a visual style and it's hard to have one pinpointed on you. So it's, you know, it's a very it's great. It's great. And also just the acting. Charlotte Gainsbourg 100% deserves that award. She's incredible in this film. Charlotte Gainsbourg is just an incredible actress. I love her in Nymphomaniac, and I even love her so much in this movie. So I can't wait to see what she does within Melancholia, and I can't wait to talk about it next week with you guys. Hopefully there'll be some more of y'all in here, but it's okay because you guys can still watch the replay, and you guys can check out what I'm talking about on the replay. So yeah. I do need to go feed dogs, so I'm probably going to say goodbye here, and hope you all have a wonderful day. And as always, you know, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go and subscribe. I'm very close to you know, hopefully getting my custom URL when I get to 100. So please go subscribe to me. Just search up my name, Raul Alejandro Mendoza, or look, I'm gonna put the YouTube channel link on what's it called, on my chat. Excuse me. On Wednesday, we will be doing our sorry about that. On Wednesday, we will be doing a episode of the Nerd Chicano Live. We're gonna be having Aiden Cossack come on the show with me, and we're gonna be talking about the role of the audience within the film industry, and we're also gonna be talking about a bunch of other stuff that's going on in our lives. So guys, go please subscribe to this channel. Click on my channel and go subscribe. Get me to 100 subscribers because I really do want that custom URL. It's a lot easier when I have my custom URL and I don't have to put all these different. I don't have to go to YouTube, grab my link, and put all these random ass numbers. So please go and check out my channel and subscribe to it. On Wednesday we'll have that, and I believe on Thursday I should be getting my copy of World of One Car Y from Criterion. So I'll probably do a surprise unboxing stream, and we'll probably play some games or something. We'll see what's up, but I'm gonna go ahead and get going here. I hope that you all had a wonderful time, and I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation that was being had here. I don't have enough viewers to raid anybody, or let me check if anybody's up for a raid. Let me know, guys, in the comments on the YouTube video how I did. If you guys enjoyed this conversation, if you guys would want to know would like to see what other movies I would bring to the table to discuss on this series, just let me know how I'm doing, because the feedback is a necessary part. As always, even though I'm not here, I'm not going to be streaming right after I go offline. You can still send a donation to www.streamelements.com/thenerdchicano/tip. Please, it all goes towards the crowdfunding for the last round of fundraising before I leave. And if you have put any questions in there, I will be answering them on the Nerd Chicano Live on Wednesday. So please, guys, go and do that and help us out. But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye. It looks like nobody is available to get a raid. Let me see how many viewers do I have. I have one viewer, so what's it called? I'm not gonna. Yeah, I think it'll even show up. So we'll see. Let's hope on Wednesday we have enough viewers for a raid. But this was the first episode Between the Frames, and I hope you all had a lot of fun. I'm gonna go ahead and see you guys later. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. And just take care of yourselves, and hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Goodbye.